Welcome into an NHL playoff edition of Pucks and Prosecco. I'm Meghan and Angley. We'll be joined by Chloe Theil shortly, and this show is powered by our good friends over at Accurate America.
Hello and welcome in.
Please do not leave your luggage unattended on the station.
Welcome to...
Hey, everybody. I felt like it started like a second quicker than I thought it was going to.
I don't know. I felt like that too, but I don't know what it was.
I didn't hear Jesse say the show. I just heard welcome to...
Jesse, what are you doing back there?
Jesse, our flow has been disturbed.
It's automatically Jesse's fault anytime anything goes wrong on this show.
Welcome in to an NHL playoff edition of Pucks and Prosecco. Meghan Angley, Chloe Theil. You already know it's going to be a good one. We have a special playoff edition show planned for you guys. We took to Twitter/X to ask for some playoff hot takes, and we're going to be running through a little bit and see if we agree with the hot takes or if we don't. I don't know if I like the name for this segment, but right now it's called Sip or Spit.
Right.
So we either take a sip if we agree with the take, or we spit it out into our microphones.
Right. So you guys, I guess, can vote. Do you want us to spit on the camera or no? I'm just thinking of it as I'm
Across
just
the way.
not the spit take. I'm just not gonna take a sip if I disagree, is what I'm thinking.
I think that's normal.
I would rather not waste the Prosecco. So that's gonna be the excuse for not doing a spit take into the camera.
I love it. So what do you think? We have a couple of our own playoff hot takes also to get into, but we got some great submissions from all of you guys.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Should we start with some people who submitted some?
Yes, let's start with some fans.
Perfect.
Let's open. I don't know if Jesse wants to open this bottle. I don't think we came to a conclusion about if he's opening it up or if we are.
Right.
Jesse?
BK gave me tips if I do open it, so I feel like I'm 80% confident I can do it.
Okay, you do it. I have 95% confidence in you that you can do it.
That's all I need.
We should probably learn how
So
to
he
do
said
it.
do it slowly.
Yeah.
To release some of the pressure. Oh God.
Perfect.
I didn't panic or fear for my life.
Right.
That much.
I one time had I was holding a bottle of champagne and then it just exploded while I was holding it. And so ever since that moment, I've just been kind of scared to open bottles like that. I know it shouldn't be a scary thing, but
Okay, it is game day.
It
We're
is.
gonna just leave it like that.
oh right, I forgot you guys. You guys still have to work
I have
today.
to work. Okay.
Let's see. Let me hold this in my hand. Okay, let's start with just the first one I have pulled up here. All teams in the East are frauds. LOL. OL. What do you think?
I believe in Florida
Okay.
/ Tampa.
Wait, you have to take a sip or not first. That's how we should start it.
I'm going to take a sip because I do think most teams in the East are frauds.
Okay. Interesting. Our first sip.
And it comes down to the battle in division in season and the disparity that existed West-East Conference. And it just felt like the battle to secure a place at the top in the West was so much more intense and heated building up to it, whereas teams who didn't seem that interested in the wild card spots coming out of the East kind of landed in that position despite playing terribly at the end of the year. So I'm not entirely convinced of some of the teams in the East.
I'm going to take a baby sip, like a halfway sip is the way that I'm looking at it. Because I agree. I think the Panthers can go far. I also think Washington can go far. But other than those two teams, I don't really understand why any of the other teams should be in the playoffs at this moment in time. So I think what we're getting at there is just when you look at the Western Conference, it's a lot better than the Eastern Conference. So I wouldn't say they're necessarily frauds, but I just think that there is a large disparity in between the two conferences.
Now that I'm digging into it in my brain a little bit more, I think that I'm not convinced of Washington for the Stanley Cup final.
Wait, hot take.
They were a juggernaut in the regular season, but they got swept out of the first round last year and had a goal scoring issue. And so I think goaltending was a huge piece in their story. They improved their back end and got more scoring throughout the lineup, which was another huge piece. But I still don't know if they have enough pieces at the top that entice me the way that a Barkov or a Tkachuk, if healthy, obviously, would in a final. And on the Western side of things, the way a McKinnon or a McDavid, though I think Edmonton's in a tough spot with some of the injury that they've opened the series with. And so that's where I'm still not entirely sold on Washington. Toronto, I think, is closer than they have been. But I'll need to see how the star players hold up in a deep playoff run as well, because obviously they've had the second round issue that has plagued them. So I don't really know what that team looks like past that point. And that's where I'm a bit uncertain. So I'll give Florida some credit. Washington is a maybe. Toronto is a maybe. Everyone else, I'm not entirely convinced. Yeah. Which is weird, because then you go out west and I'm like,
it could be any one of these teams.
Dallas, Colorado, seriously. A little bit of a coin flip, especially if a Heiskanen and a Robertson appear, later in a playoff run, though I'm hoping the Avs close this out before that conversation gets started. Vegas, I still believe in heavily. LA, I think they solved goaltending, and that was the thing keeping them back. I kind of feel similarly about LA as I do about Washington. Edmonton, they opened the playoffs with some serious injuries, but I'm curious about them. I think goaltending remains the biggest question mark they left unanswered. Winnipeg's my struggle team, because St. Louis is giving them a run for their money in at least the first two games. And I think St. Louis is a well-coached team. As everybody knows, I love Monty. I don't really believe in St. Louis, but I do think it is intriguing to me how much tighter the games with Winnipeg have been than I expected because of how Winnipeg played in the regular season. I won't fully rule them out, though. I still think there's a reason they had as much in-season success as they did. And I think that they're a different team in ways, just from how they're coached, at least, from what the Avs saw in round one last year. So that was my lengthy answer as to why I do agree with this hot take for the most part. And the whole point of a hot take is to be a little hot. So, all right, maybe we don't believe everyone in the East is frauds, but basically,
yeah. It was really difficult for me to make my bracket, and then I got to the Eastern Conference and I was like, I don't really, I made two. It was either the Panthers or the Capitals making it to the final, but in both of those brackets, no Eastern Conference team actually wins the Stanley Cup this year, and that's just what I think. So this actually leads into a hot take that I wrote down. It was announced that Matthew Tkachuk is back for game one of the playoffs. I know that this has been a big conversation lately, and the league has been making it a little more difficult for teams, asking a lot of questions as to why they're playing in game 82, but they're not playing in game 82, but then they're starting in game one of the playoffs. So I think now that Matthew Tkachuk is back, the Panthers will go on a deep run. What do you think about that?
Oh, I agree. I hope to, the Four Nations injury issue was kind of concerning, and maybe between what happened with McAvoy and also Tkachuk, I think there's a concern around the downsides of having this tournament that players care about in season.
That players care about.
I still thought even with Tkachuk on the brink of being available to them that they were capable of this. It just kind of solidifies it. He, obviously even contributes in his first game back for Florida. He's such an important heartbeat of that team that also has Reinhart and Barkov. And so I am a big believer in the Panthers, and they're made more of a threat with Tkachuk in the lineup.
Yeah, I honestly look at this. It's not the same at all, but having Landeskog back in the lineup, it gives the Panthers that same push having Tkachuk. All right, let's do another fan hot take.
Oh, yeah. Do we need to sip for Tkachuk?
You can. It was my hot take, so I believe it. But I'll take a sip also. Okay. Not Avs related. This is also not playoffs related, but I liked this one. I don't think Sidney Crosby got the recognition he deserved by the league when he passed Gretzky's all-time point-per-game record to 20 consecutive seasons. Everyone was following the great chase with Ovi. Felt like Sid got put on the back burner for that. I'm going to drink.
I don't know how I feel about this one.
I'll tell you, well, I think both are an incredibly big deal. I do think we talked about this with Ovi. They stopped mid-game to
that felt
do a
little
whole
extra,
performance
little
for
drama.
him because this was such an incredible feat that he had accomplished. So I do think that they could have made it a bigger deal for Sid, but you're looking at two very different stats, I think. So maybe that's why.
I think these records are weighted a little bit differently.
Yeah.
I think they're both significant, and Crosby's record to average at least a point per game for 20 consecutive seasons, it goes back to that longevity conversation we had when we were talking about players that might be able to surpass other Gretzky records, and why it's not so much the skill level of these players that we're talking about right now, because they obviously are on pace to do that right now. It's whether or not they can put in 20 seasons in the NHL, which is a lengthy career. And so that is a significant accomplishment for a player who dealt with scary injuries at the start of his career too, for Crosby. So I don't want to undersell it by any measure. I just think the sheer goal total for Ovechkin carried just a different weight.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I'm all for retroactively celebrating things. So if we want to celebrate Crosby, I'm here for that too.
Everybody should have, if they accomplish that, then they should stop in the middle of the game and get celebrated.
Yeah,
that's a new thing now.
We should actually defer to Crosby too. Like, whenever you want to celebrate this one, buddy.
Right. We'll
stop the game.
We'll stop everything for you.
You just say the word.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. There should be regulations about ice conditions, and if conditions are not being met, then appropriate action needs to be taken in-game and or fines handed out to the responsible party after the fact. Last night in Dallas, the ice was an absolute joke for an NHL playoff game. I'm not going to sip.
Oh, here's the thing.
Yep.
I want to say it was Cale Makar who said it in the postgame, but everyone is playing on the same ice.
Yep.
So I do agree there should be a standard that they're held to. But at the end of the day, I don't know that it's an advantage or disadvantage to either team because they both play on the same ice. So I'm going to say, because I do like this take. I hadn't really thought of it that way. Like, you know what? We should hold ourselves to a high standard. And we want this to be a sport that attracts viewers outside of the regular hockey audience for playoffs, because this is the time of year to get people out of the hockey market interested in NHL playoff hockey. It's the best time of year for people to newly discover this sport, and you want to put your best foot forward then. So just from a growing the game marketing standpoint, you want to have good ice across the board. You don't want your star players falling all over like fish. Next.
I completely agree with everything you're saying. The reason I didn't drink is because of what Cale Makar said last night. I think that, yes, there should be a standard, but these are professional players. They've played on this ice countless times. It's no excuse to say that the ice is the reason for players doing or not doing well. So that's why I chose not to drink.
I want to showcase them at their best, which is why I did drink.
Yeah.
That's a great hot take.
That is a really, really good one. Okay, let's look at this one. Mikko doesn't score a goal and the Stars trade him post-elimination before his new contract, NMC, kicks in.
What was the last word? This is not Mikko hate. Oh. Sorry. It would just be bananas.
Just be bananas. Oh,
too heartbroken to be normal Mikko.
I'm glad that you had me bring this back up, because I was gonna say, for the last sentence, I do think he will keep struggling this series. Too heartbroken to be normal Mikko. That part specifically, I'm going to drink too.
Sorry, I got a funny last minute submission over Instagram here.
I I just know it's from Abby.
It is from Abby. So this one, the hot take is Mikko won't get a goal.
Yes.
I can't sit. There is such a revenge of the ex-Avs curse. I feel like Matt Duchene is a thorn in their side for this reason, and I think we'll discover this rings true for Mikko Rantanen. I still think the Avs have this series well within their grasp, even in spite of that. The last minute hot take from Abby, I want to see Josh beat Jamie Benn's butt again because I do not like that gel head. Yeah,
no, I agree. I'll
no
stick to that.
notes. No notes.
No
Right.
notes.
Like I think Jamie Benn hasn't been as much of a jerk as I'm used to him being. And if he stays that way, then I don't want to see Josh Manson risk any injury to his delicate, precious hands.
Right.
But I am all for standing up for themselves in this series because I do think it's on this thin ice, no pun intended, of teetering into kind of getting a little emotional, getting a little carried away. And I think the Avs have done a decent job of playing above the fray, which you know what? I'll use this as a segue for one of my hot takes.
Perfect.
I think we should let Mason Marchment flop. Let him flop around. Let him be annoying and embarrass himself. There is a way in which he has chosen to showcase himself on live television for all of the public in the world to see. And I think it's embarrassing. And that is such a choice that I'm going to let him do that. Let him embarrass himself because I think it only hurts his reputation inside games. I think he's earned a reputation for this generally as a player, which officials know about. And I think inside games, it also costs his team in a way. I look at the Rantanen hooking call after Manson smoked him late in game 2. And Rantanen gets called for, honestly, what I think was borderline. Like, I'm not sure I would have called it. There are some moments in hockey where it's just dudes playing hockey too. And so I was kind of surprised that Rantanen got called for it, but it was because it was obviously retaliatory. And so I think had it existed isolated from the big hit from Manson just before it, it probably would have gone uncalled. And I just look at that as like a little example of, I don't think Mason Marchment's flops are going to buy him calls or give his team any sort of benefit of the doubt. I do think back to some of the interference calls that were called on the Avs in this same game earlier that I also felt they're just playing hockey, and Dallas really sold that. And so it felt kind of like it neutralized by the end of that game. And so though I didn't necessarily love those interference calls on the Avs players, I did think Dallas was overselling it. I don't think that Mason Marchment flopping around is going to buy them any calls extra in their favor. I think it's going to balance out at the end of the series. So you might as well let him just be annoying and embarrassing.
Yeah, that was one of my hot takes too. I saw some people talking about this already on Twitter, but it was just Marchment is the villain of this series instead of Jamie Benn. So
don't let him be. Don't let him be the villain. Like, that's kind of embarrassing for the Colorado side if that is the villain in the series.
I do think that it's funny though, because I was looking up to see some of his embellishments. You can find
there's a compilation
entire
video.
Compilation.
I have it linked in my notes if we want to.
Oh, if we want to.
I don't know if we can.
I don't know if we can.
Live game.
But if you want to find it, we'll send you a link because it's hilarious. But my point with that is it's not new. It's nothing new. We've seen it all before. He shouldn't be the villain. You're exactly correct. But I think what's worse about it is that the refs seriously are still believing him every single time. So I blame the refs.
I mean, like, the Manson call on Marchment was interference. He just unnecessarily oversold it. So that's why I feel like you walk away from that and it's just embarrassing for Mason Marchment. Like, that was going to be interference. You did not have to fully bend into a C shape for you to get that call. But now we get to live with this mental image of you flopping around in the air.
Right.
So
that mustache.
I'm just kidding.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. Landeskog might not come back against Dallas out of fear of hurting his knee. Also, the Wild will beat Vegas. Whoa, that's 2. Let's start with the first one. Do you think Landy might not come back against Dallas?
No.
No, you don't think that.
I don't think he won't come back. I think he'll come back in the Dallas series.
I agree. I'm not going to drink to that one. If he doesn't come back tonight and play tonight, then I will have other thoughts.
Yeah, I will be a little
understand.
suspicious.
Right. I understand him not playing on Monday in Dallas. I think their plan overall was for him to return when they were in Colorado. So I think there was just a lot of speculation. A lot of people got their hopes up, but I think this was definitely their plan. So if it's not tonight, then I think maybe there's cause for concern there, because I'm not sure why he wouldn't play tonight other than Jared Bednar just doesn't think he should be in the lineup.
Yeah, I won't sip for that one.
Yep.
And I'm not sure. I love the hot take of Wild beating out Vegas.
Yes.
I love it so much. I want to believe in it.
I'm not sipping.
I'm not there yet.
Okay.
I want to see Minnesota at full health for the full or close to it season next year, and then we'll talk. Because I really thought Minnesota had a weird year in terms of they started the year strong, and people believed, oh, that's not sustainable. But then they had so many injuries that, of course, it wasn't sustainable. We never really got the chance to resolve that then, if it was real or not. And I think it was more real than people give it credit for. But you were without Spurgeon for lots of the year, Kaprizov for lots of the year, and Eck for lots of the year. Those are some pretty important players to that team. So I'm giving Minnesota some love, but I can't sip yet.
I agree.
I also love Gustafsson. I think he's a good young goaltender.
God, now I'm just thinking about the ad that's been playing all over my TV of
Gus Bus?
No. They're talking about, I think it's Yusei Saros. I'm not sure. But they're saying, like, what are your, how do you want to plan financially? And he's like, no goals.
No goals.
No goals. No goals. Fantastic. Okay, let's move on to this one. Washington is an awful team under the surface. They won't go far in the playoffs. You kind of touched on this.
I don't think they're awful, but I'm not fully convinced.
I'm not going to sip because I think it's their year. I don't think it's exactly, I don't think they're going to win the cup, but I do think after the massive change that we saw from last year to this year with them getting swept, I think they at least have to make a run. They have to.
I think I'm not convinced of Strome and PLD is the 1-2 punch down the middle, but I think the top six has compelling parts. Like, obviously, Alex Ovechkin is still a history-making goal scorer, so I don't want to rule that out of the conversation. Right. And Connor McMichael had a breakout year, but I just don't know that Beauvillier and Tom Wilson, you go side by side comparison, and you've got a Netches and a Nichushkin. I'm not sure I'm entirely convinced. And then obviously Nathan McKinnon.
I love Nathan McKinnon.
Nathan McKinnon down the middle. You could see where I was going with that and how I ended up.
We both
there.
did it. I should Washington. Yep. Okay. On to the next. Panthers repeat.
I'll sip for that. Obviously, I want the Avs to win the cup this year, but
I'm not going to sip for that. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that they'll get a repeat.
Whoa.
Because I think a Western Conference team is going to win no matter who it is. I think they're going to
That's a hot take.
Is it?
I like it. Whoever comes out of the West is the winner.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
Well, that kind of if I sip, that contradicts what I just agreed
with.
That's okay.
You Florida. Can take it back. You can regurgitate and spit that Prosecco out if you want to.
That's disgusting. Okay.
All right. This is the last one we have from Fan. If Colorado wins the Stanley Cup, Mackenzie Blackwood will win the Conn Smythe, not Cale Makar or Nathan McKinnon. I'm going to sip.
I almost had an identical hot take, and then I saw this and I said, well, then it's not so hot if this user has come up with it. I wanted to add a qualifier too. If the Avs make it to the Western Conference final, then they are going to win the cup.
Yep.
And Mackenzie Blackwood's going to be a Conn Smythe winner. That just made it a little bit hotter, but you look at the goal save above expected and just some of the early numbers coming out from goaltenders in these early games across the board from the playoffs. Mackenzie Blackwood leads the pack. He's not just getting lucky in these games. And I think that the Avs are doing some things right in their own end to support him, but they can be doing more. And so I think the Avs have room to take things up a notch and better defend in their own zone. Mackenzie Blackwood's playing incredible hockey right now for the Avs. He's locked in, and I know there was concern about how he'd handle playoff pressure for the first time, playing for such big stakes that he hasn't had the opportunity to play for in the past.
Yeah.
And he's handling himself with so much composure, and I love that take. I don't think I sipped, but
you agree.
But you agree.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you said. This being his first playoffs also, if they end up making it deep and winning a cup, if he plays the same way that he's been playing these last 2 games, there's no question. Yay, Mackenzie Blackwood!
Yay, Mackenzie Blackwood!
Yes. Okay, that's all we have. There was one in here too. I guess I didn't pull it. I thought I did, but it was Logan O'Connor has been the best player these first 2 games. So the reason I wouldn't sip to that is because I think it's Mackenzie Blackwood, but
I think there may have even been another one about that line generally, but there was one about Logan O'Connor being the best player, and I love this because my hot take is that the 2025 version of the fourth line is even better than the 2022 team.
Oh.
And we've drawn comparisons already a little bit, and it's incredibly premature, but I think that Drury is better in the face-off circle, and so he has a better chance of winning some draws for them in key moments. All are effective penalty killers, so that was true of Cogliano, Helm, and OC2 in their year, so I can't really give anybody an edge in that battle, but it is a key ingredient in why they add value. I will say, too, Darren Helm was a heavier player than anybody represented on the 2025 fourth line. He had 25.13 hits per 60, which, to put into perspective, Parker Kelly is currently 4th on the team in his hits per 60 at 13.92. So Darren Helm was just such a physical, heavy player for that fourth line. It did make a difference in the bottom line. But you look at the natural stat trick numbers, you can sort of get an idea. 5v5, they were only on the ice for 1 goal for, which Jared Bednar even talked about this a little bit this morning with respect to Logan O'Connor, that sometimes these lines, in between changes aren't exactly those 3 on the ice at any given moment. And so Logan O'Connor has found success early on the ice with a couple different players. So I don't want that to take away from the production of the fourth line in the cup year, because Helm had 2 goals and 3 assists, Cogliano 3 goals and 3 assists, and O'Connor had 1 goal and 3 assists. But the early production pace of this 2025 fourth line is where I get a little bit excited. Because they've already been on the ice together for 1 goal for, which matches the total of the 2022 team. And Logan O'Connor already has a goal and 3 assists, matching his point production of the 2022 year in just 2 games. Kelly has an assist.
It's like Kivy all over again.
Drury has a goal and an assist. And so I think the skill upside that exists among these players is where they might have a little bit of an edge. I feel remorse for describing Logan O'Connor's goal, where he was supposed to be getting back-checked by Mason Marchment and instead just sort of wore him on his back like a backpack. I guess Johnny Lyles described it that way on the broadcast.
That's
and
a good way to describe it.
I love that. It still does require a lot of skill to be able to backhand that puck behind you with your back turned to the net. And I wanted to give that credit. I described it not as highly skilled because it wasn't a passing play among his line mates. It was an individually high skill play. And so I want to look at the point production for Logan O'Connor year by year. Just generally, his point production pace has been better and better each year. And if it weren't for injury last year, we were looking at a points pace high for Logan O'Connor that I think was, ruined by the injury, and we didn't get to fully see his potential. But the version of Logan O'Connor that we have today is even better because it's more experienced, more confident, more comfortable than the OC that we saw in the cup year. And so I think he has more to add to that fourth line with that experience under his belt. I think the youth and the legs of the 2025 fourth line has a motor that teams will struggle to compete with. They get up and down the ice. They're quick and they'll beat you with speed, and in such an opportunistic way that teams might not view them appropriately as a threat. And I think that's going to be a sneaky component of this 2025 fourth line that makes them so dangerous.
Well, Jack Drury said it today. He said, this is the deepest team I've ever been a part of. And they're the reason for that. So you don't see a lot of fourth line players scoring goals like that, like Logan O'Connor. So
yeah, and even like Jack Drury's feed to Coyle for the goal in game one was such a high skilled play and so quick off the wall to get that puck just off his blade to Coyle. You see it in slow motion and it still seems hard to pull off, and then you think in real time the quickness at which that unfolds, how difficult that must have been. And they won the center ice draw to even start this play, so they used their speed to get in the O-zone in the first place. It was just highly skilled. A lot of what they've done has been so impressive.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at they had 3 goals in the last game and 2 of them were from the fourth line, so
they're cooking.
Yeah,
it's a bit premature, but I'm excited.
Let's make my hot take is put the fourth line as the first line.
Nathan McKinnon, you're demoted.
Boom.
Jack Drury, number 1.
Woo! I want to talk about Abby's comment because I'm feeling Marty Party goal tonight. There was another comment, I guess didn't make it. I don't know if I just didn't upload them correctly. And it was Marty Necas is going to have a hat trick
in the playoffs. I love it.
I love it too. I'll take a sip
to that. I think that outside of a few select players in the top 6, we haven't gotten the full extent of what they're capable of. Brock Nelson, Val Nichushkin, Necas. But I feel like start to finish, Necas, his game has grown on me. And so I think he's hearing the messaging of, Marty, this is what you got to do in the NHL playoffs to be successful. And I'm seeing a player try to bring that to execution. And it's not perfect in the full 60 of things, but there's real intent and effort being made to absorb the messaging that he's getting, that I have a confidence that he can be more of an impact and be more effective than we've even seen him in the past in his playoff performances with Carolina. So I am not giving up on Marty Necas.
I think Val has a goal tonight.
Ooh, I like this too, because this is a player we talked about how the Dallas series last year, obviously he's missing. That's a huge gut punch to this team. We look at the record of the Avs with Val in the lineup versus not. And I don't think that Val has shown up for this series yet.
But you can tell that he wants it so badly. Yes. You can really tell. I just think it hasn't happened just yet. But once it does, I think we're going to see a lot more from him.
Val goal tonight. You heard it here first.
You heard it here. And Gabe Landeskog is in tonight against the Dallas Stars. I'm just going to say that because it's not confirmed, so that when it's confirmed, you can say that it was sourced from here, Pucks and Prosecco, that we said it first. So
Chloe Theil on the scene reporting Gabriel Landeskog to make his return to NHL playoff hockey. Game 3, Avs versus Dallas, Ball Arena. Clock it.
You heard it here first.
Insider Chloe Theil.
Yes. I don't have any other hot takes.
Okay, I'll run through this quickly. Okay. Games shouldn't start past 8 p.m. local time. So whatever city they're in.
I don't have any more in my glass.
Yeah.
Sip. Yes.
Yeah, because here's the thing. It's playoffs. There's overtime hockey. I think we were so close to having a second overtime in Dallas. So
yes. Uh-oh.
Oh
my God, Jesse's filling my glass. Thanks, Jesse.
I didn't know if
You're
really
not
agreed
wearing your
with
white gloves
the 8
that we
p.m.
got you, though. I thought you were coming in to say that you were just. Oh, right. He said he changed out of his tuxedo. I thought he was coming in to say. Oh. Jesse just wants to get us drunk on here. I don't know what it is, but.
Oh my goodness. You never know when and where Jesse's gonna run into our live show. And you never know when and where the
Yes.
hail will hit when the summer storms
Mhm.
come. And the last thing you want to
Right.
be is caught scrambling when it does. So make the call before the storm and call Accurate America. They'll partner with you on navigating insurance and provide quick, professional, and knowledgeable service using the latest technology and 3D modeling. And their work is guaranteed as long as you own your home. So don't scramble at the last minute and call Accurate America at 303-900-ROOF before the storm, before Jesse comes storming in to refill your glass of Prosecco.
Right. Let's bring back the roof's gonna get blown off tonight.
I got a little scared. I said that in a hit with Romy earlier about like when Gabe comes back, the roof's going to be blown off this place.
Yeah.
And you just got to be careful how you talk about things. It's like, is this
I thought
threatening?
you were gonna say you said that and then accidentally went into saying an Accurate America read.
and if your roof does get blown off, you know who to call. 303-900-ROOF.
Jesse Cartwheel win.
Unfortunately, this
we've
is
been
a
begging
hot
him.
take, I guess.
We've been begging.
Yeah.
We've been pleading.
He's
He
made these
won't do it.
he's made these weird demands about the cartwheels.
Yeah.
And they've been really hard to meet.
Yeah. So I guess as far as we know, it's not gonna happen.
We'll wear him down, you guys.
One day. Maybe whenever the postseason happens, then he'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. All right, one final hot take before we get into jackets.
Yes.
I think Jared Bednar thrives on the drama. I support him being a little secretive, though. I support
Did you
it fully.
see his little smile
About Gabe?
Yes.
Because he went on the radio this morning and
Interesting.
said that it was, okay, I don't want to misquote his words exactly, but he was a lot clearer about it being a real possibility that Gabriel Landeskog's playing tonight.
Right.
I'm actually going back into Twitter so I can look this up so I don't misquote anybody.
What his actual
There's a
quote was
good
this
chance
morning.
Gabe Landeskog is going to play tonight.
Right.
Is what he said.
Right.
But in the morning skate availability, he just said, we'll see.
We'll
It's a little
see.
grin.
And then it was, what's the criteria for him coming back? And he said gut feeling. And then he gave this like little smirk that he didn't want anybody to see, almost like a smile that he was trying to hide but couldn't.
He does do
He
that.
loves the drama.
He loves the drama, and I love that he loves the drama. I support him being a little secretive, okay?
I do too.
I think that if they all want to be a little more secretive, they should take warm-ups in blank jerseys, and they should all wear disguises.
Yeah, right. I think Gabe Landeskog should dress up as a janitor and get lowered from the rafters, and you have no idea who it is until the very last second.
It should actually be a decoy player, and it's just like Jack Drury is being lowered from the rafters.
Yeah, and it's like, why are they lowering
Landeskog's in
Drury?
goalie gear taking pucks at warm-ups.
That's a
Mackenzie
really good
Blackwood
one.
just dressed in a full suit. He's the coach behind the bench.
Oh my god. Somebody said it
I-
earlier. I'm not sure if I can find the comment.
I'm sorry, that went off the rails so fast.
but I love it.
I
love it.
support the drama however they want to do it.
Somebody said, like, it felt like just yesterday we were doing all of the
Yes, I
Um,
thought that was a good comment.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it is. Maybe it's somewhere at the top. But it was, it felt like just yesterday that we were talking about return theories, and now it may or may not be happening tonight. So I'm very excited.
We haven't carved out enough space to address that real possibility that
Yes.
Gabriel Landeskog's playing hockey tonight.
Right. But you guys are doing your pregame show, right?
You're right. We will address it.
Because I was going to say I wanted us to talk about it, but you guys will talk about it on
Okay.
the pregame show.
Okay.
I did watch episode 5 this morning while I was getting ready, and it was really, really good. So I like the way it ended. It was, they had footage from a month ago that they put out. So they were just starting to talk about him doing a conditioning stint with the Eagles where the episode ended. So it's so exciting.
I'm so excited for him, and I can't wait to talk about it on the pregame, and I can't wait to talk about how this actually goes after the fact.
Mhm.
All right, we can shift gears
Okay.
if we've
What
gotten
you've
through.
all been waiting for.
I know
This is
we've
the best
gotten
part.
no demands for this, but we wanted to
Right.
talk about it. And it is jacket time. Now, we've addressed WAG as a term.
Right.
I have no issue with that term. So
Yes.
we can refer to them as WAG jackets
Yes.
or partner of player
Right.
jackets.
Pops
jackets.
Yes. Because Vaguely did say that in the chat a lot earlier. Like, I thought we weren't supposed to say WAGs. When we talked about it with Kat, she was saying, they're kind of taking the word back and making
Yes.
it their own, and they think it's fun. But her word is pops. So
Pops.
let's use pops.
Let's get into some pops jackets.
All right, let's look at the first one. Of course, it's the Avs jackets.
I'm so excited to get a better photo of these because this is clearly
Yes.
kind of the teaser before you actually see the women wearing them.
Mhm.
And you can usually get a better idea of the littler details in the jackets.
Right. Let's look. Maybe that's a somewhat better
Right, you can kind of see on the
photo.
sleeve there appears to be the names
Mhm.
in a cursive. All I know is I like deviating from the black jackets from time to time.
Yes.
And so I think the Avs did like a royal blue last year. I'm
Mhm.
not certain of that. I like that they're leaning into the burgundy this
Mhm.
year, and I think this color is going to be so complimentary on any woman who wears it, and I
agree.
love that.
I love the burgundy. I absolutely love it. Any colored leather is my favorite. I chose to wear a black leather jacket today, but I love the colored leather on this, and I think the logo looks cute. I love writing on the sleeves.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
love it.
And you can see with the goalies on the lower level that
Yeah.
there's the number on the front
Right.
there too represented. I like the size too because sometimes I feel like the details in the jackets can get lost a little bit,
Mhm.
but that looks like a very proportionate size for the number.
Yes, I agree. All right, let's look at this one.
Okay, not the best photo.
This is Carolina. We have 2 of them.
Good.
So we'll look at this one. You can see a little bit on the end of the sleeves. I love the detail of that. It's like, wait, what's the name of that? Letterman jacket?
So
like, doesn't the Letterman
yes,
jacket
because
have
it's like a lightweight version of Letterman. Because
Right.
Letterman I associate with being a little bit
So here's
heavier,
this.
but I like this because this material is lighter weight and it has that kind of metallic-y sheen in
Mhm.
it that I think is really beautiful.
Yeah.
Big numbers, so really identifiable,
Mhm.
and I like it. I think there's a past Toronto jacket I've seen that was a royal blue that I thought was really pretty of a similar style, and so it's sporty. Obviously, leading into the red of the Canes is a very important
Yes.
element of the jacket here
Mhm.
too, so I overall like it, and I think it's another color that's gonna be really flattering on any woman who wears it.
Yeah. I don't love and maybe it's just the photo. It looks like a little too bright for the red I like. I like a little
It's
bit darker.
brighter than I thought it would be.
Right. But it looks like they're wearing these hats. I wish you could read what they said on
I think
them.
they say hurricanes.
I think they do say hurricanes, and I love those hats. I think it's really simple, and I love that it's like dark, like tan, dark blue, and then red lettering.
I like I don't know what King of Trolls is talking about.
The red looks so saturated, Abby said. That's and maybe a part of it is like because of the stream, but it is still pretty red at like the direct picture that we're looking at on here. It's brighter than you would think that it would be.
Yeah. So I wonder if they are that saturated in real life or not. But I do love the matching hat.
Yeah.
I think that's a nice touch.
Me too. All right, let's look at Dallas. Here's what I'm not sure how well you can see it, but it's like this it's a black leather jacket that's cropped, and then it has like green felt around the numbers.
King of Trolls, you're trolling. No one's ever asked me for an autograph. I wished these were a little different. I don't think I have any criticisms harshly of any of the jackets, but these left me wanting a little bit.
Yeah.
You have such a pretty green to work with. And I think in the past they've leaned into the green with the jackets a little bit more, so maybe they were trying to switch it up. But
yeah.
I think the dark green in the numbers on the back gets lost in the black, and maybe they wanted it that way.
Yeah.
To be a bit more subtle.
Yeah. I I kind of like that it's subtle. I like that it's like felt numbers. I think that's really pretty, and I love that it's a cropped leather. But yes, I agree. I mean the or letter number, Jesus, the numbers are black though, and it's surrounded in green.
In green embroidery.
Yes,
That's probably why it's
so
not popping.
You would think that
the
it would
way I would've
stand out a
thought.
lot more, but yes, I agree. Oh, is this another one? Okay, yeah.
You
So
can
when
see
you're
the
looking at
green.
it like this, like you can see it, but you really, yeah, I think it's probably not meant to be super outgoing.
Yeah. Well, I like the cut of the jacket.
I do too.
It looks flattering.
I do too. I forgot to turn this picture, but this is LA Kings.
Oh, LA Kings. You know, I think I need to see more.
Me too.
I love the group shot. It's just a little hard for me to see the details of these jackets.
I forgot to turn it, but
no.
Yeah, it's not enough for me. Like I want it to be more, just because it looks right now like it's just a black jacket with the Kings logo on the front of it.
And here's where I struggle with the jackets a tiny bit is you're really at the mercy of the color palette of your team.
Right.
And so
black
because
and gray.
black, white, grayish.
Yeah.
It's hard to really do something different with that color palette.
Yeah.
So no comment.
No comment. All right, this is Montreal.
I like denim. I think it's a classic style that will look flattering on a lot of women, and I need to see a little bit more of it, but it looks like with denim too, you have more room to add personal touches, personal details.
Yeah.
And with other denim jackets in the past, I've seen a lot of the women embrace that and add, kind of unique personalizations and decals. So
Yeah.
I like that this jacket has room to do that. I'm not sure if they did, since I can't see the full extent of it, but
yeah.
I always like a denim jacket.
I love an oversized denim jacket, and that's why I love this. I don't love the font of the numbers and the Montreal, but I think a big part of that too is also the colors. You have a dark blue number, and then you have white and red, and that's about it. So anything else?
No.
Sorry, Montreal. I'm gonna save Vegas.
I'm going into my email so I can see closer for some of these, because I think that's also probably not helping
what you can see on it.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this. Is Washington.
Okay. I really like Washington's. I think there's one other photo that does it a little more justice.
This is the back.
I love what they did with the details for this jacket. I love the big number in the star on the sleeve. Another one where I felt like the details are proportionate to the jacket in a way that it's still visible. It's not too much, not too little. And yeah, I love the stars. I think they're on the front too, is something either like in the shoulder or, okay, maybe I'm looking at the number on the elbow, but I really like the way they utilize some contrast in it too, so it wasn't just a straight black leather jacket.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like how detailed it is. And these were I can't remember what the company was, but there was a company that made these, and they posted an entire TikTok of all the wives and girlfriends coming in and trying the jackets on.
Yeah,
and it's a cool video. You can see all the little tiny details. One of them was they have the last names on the cuff, on the back cuff of the jacket, and I thought that was a really, really cool detail. So I like that it's super creative and it's different. It doesn't look anything like the Capitals, Like this is a completely different color scheme too.
Yeah, I like that, because I'm sure year after year it gets hard to add something new to the jackets when you're operating within the same color palette.
Yeah.
So I think they did a really great job of making this unique.
Yeah. Okay, this one is Winnipeg. I love these.
Me too. Winnipeg was my favorite last year, and it's close to my favorite probably again this year.
Yeah.
I've seen some people a little unsure because it's more of a cream, and the theme of Winnipeg Jets is white out.
Yeah.
And they did fully do white last year. I don't mind the cream. I still think that's going to blend seamlessly with the crowd and the white out feel. It's not going to harshly contrast against the white.
Maybe they wanted to stand out.
Yeah, maybe they wanted to stand out a little bit. And I love what they've done with the accents. And I love that this is like a flight, like a flight aviation jacket, especially in the collar. You can see kind of that, not fur, but fur adjacent lined collar that really gives it that flight jacket feel.
Yeah.
And obviously the big jet decal in the back. I really love it. Like what I liked about Washington's, I love the way that they utilize detail in this jacket.
I agree. I love like the patches everywhere.
Yes, like flight patches.
It's so fun, and that's such a good way to add little details without, you know, going overboard with like lettering and stuff. Those little patches are so fun, and they're like it looks like on the sleeve it's the logo and then a plane and then the NHL logo.
Yeah.
So I love that. All right, I saved Vegas for last. Look at this one first. So you were saying that they have different jackets.
Yes. I think what I've seen is the forwards are in the black leather, the defensemen are in the cream. And then here's Eichel's. I'm not sure if it's just the photo or if it's intentional. I'm not sure I fully understand that, but I love the cream for defensemen, blacks for the forwards to have kind of a difference among the positions with the players. That's really cool. I haven't seen that before.
It's super cool. Great idea.
Eichel's
Jesse said it looks reversible. Like the inside is the cream and then the outside would be.
Well, so if you see the
black
cream,
leather.
the cream's different. Eichel's looks gold. Like it's shimmering gold to me. Because we have a picture of the creams and they look like the blacks.
Do we?
We should. It's in the second email.
I don't.
Let's see.
Oh, right. I didn't download that.
That's okay. That's okay. Let me look at it really quick.
This doesn't look very reversible. This is like what the actual black leather jackets look like. It looks pretty thin.
You know what? The creams are different though. So I think the creams have a giant number on the back.
Yeah.
Whereas these have this kind of Vegas-y night logo. I don't fully understand why they're different, but I appreciate that they are.
Either. Yeah.
I'm team cream too.
You are.
I am, because at least this one I'm looking at for White Cloud it has little details on the back, like a little flamingo, a little Vegas patch, and I think it's so cute. So I think Vegas came away as my number one. I like the subtle differences because I think still as a group they'll look cohesive.
Yeah.
But I like that it's a little more individualized than you're used to seeing.
I love the black leather. This is my favorite jacket out of all of them. And we need to talk about this because this is a shout out to Kat Ellis, the first our first guest on Pucks and Prosecco. She posted a video talking about all of these jackets, and she went on in depth on this one. These jackets were created by Lauren Kyle McDavid, and she has her own brand, Sports Club Atelier. I think that's the right way to say it because it's a French word. These are phenomenal. Yes. And if you haven't seen all the jackets and the things that she creates, they're beautiful. Yeah. I dream about these jackets. They're so pretty. You're so lucky if you're in Edmonton and you're an Oilers fan because most all of the stuff that she makes is for Edmonton. But she dropped a line and it has, sweatshirts, jackets, all that kind of stuff. And they're phenomenal. And we talked about a little bit last night how she made the Four Nations Canada jackets for everybody.
I loved those.
Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful.
It might sound silly, but even just picking the right font and the right style of cursive is actually such a challenge, as we've discovered. And she manages to pick really tasteful, legible cursives that are also the elegant cursive that you are going for. And she teased, I haven't seen the Edmonton jackets yet, but she teased a jacket that is an Edmonton jacket, but I don't think it's the pop jacket. I think it's just an Edmonton jacket, and it's like a burnt orange color, and it's beautiful. And it has a cursive font in the back that says Edmonton Oilers, and just that jacket alone is beautiful. Like, sign me up. I'd love for there to be merch like that available for all teams.
when we were we've been talking about a lot of merch for Pucks and Prosecco, and I told Megan, okay, I would give every last dollar in my bank account to have a Pucks and Prosecco jacket that looks like one of these and looks like a part of their brand. I would go everywhere in it. Absolutely everywhere. I would never take it off.
That's what
I'd get married in it.
That's what I wonder about these jackets is, can they wear it to other things? Or
I would wear it everywhere.
Or is that a little bit tricky? Because on one hand,
yeah,
I don't know that I'd want to be identifiable in the general public as being, associated with a player that has some sort of public acclaim. So maybe I wouldn't want to wear it on any other occasion, but I hope they can get more use out of these jackets and, I don't know, team events.
Yeah. But Lauren Kyle McDavid, if you're watching this show,
Finn says that they've seen the Wags wear jackets the next season, so that is a good way to repurpose them.
To repurpose them. But if she's watching and she wants to make some merch for Pucks and Prosecco, that's totally welcome.
I am begging.
We'll take it, please.
Lauren, I am begging.
That would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I share this off air with Chloe, but my Wag jacket hot take is a hilarious one, but I don't like wearing black, and a lot of the jackets lean into a black leather jacket. It's a really classic look, and black is almost universally flattering on any woman.
Yeah.
Except for me. And so this is thankfully a problem I've never needed to worry about, but with such dark hair, it would the black leather jacket would not be very flattering on me. And that's why you see me gravitating towards the jackets that have that huge contrast in being white or lighter. And I think women look like angels when they wear light colors. Yeah. So I think it's also universally flattering.
Imagine a white or burgundy Pucks and Prosecco leather jacket. I'm telling you, I've been thinking about this so much. I can't get over it. And maybe it's just because I've been looking at so much of her stuff. But it's just they look so good, and the texture is amazing. The quality of the jacket is amazing, and yes, the lettering on it, it's just phenomenal. I'd give everything for that jacket. Pucks and Prosecco.
Pucks and Prosecco. I do like it a lot.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have.
That's all we have for today. All right, we'll be back with a game preview ahead of Game 3, Avs versus Dallas. Back in Ball Arena for 2 games at home to help hopefully go up in the series and prove that there is home ice advantage with the loud roaring crowd of Ball Arena. And hopefully there's a lot of reason for Ball Arena to get loud tonight. What might that be about?
Gabe Landeskog getting lowered from the rafters. So if it doesn't happen, I'm just going to be upset. If it happens any other way, then it's going to be kind of disappointing after we read all the theories about him being in disguise or getting lowered from the rafters. So
if they didn't want us to yearn for Landeskog to be lowered from the rafters, they shouldn't have let us know it was possible by lowering Rocky.
Exactly.
Now that I know it can happen, I won't accept anything less.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. So I guess we'll see.
We'll be back with more Pucks and Prosecco next week, and of course more hockey coverage coming your way. Bye.